Hello and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary.
And Thanksgiving is officially over, which means it's Christmas time. And as you guys know, we are always in a nostalgic mood over here, but this time of year is especially so, I would argue. I feel like everyone always says the holidays are the most nostalgic time of year. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Oh, I love it.
I love it too. For me personally, though, I feel more nostalgic over back to school, but that's neither here nor there. Something about the smell of fresh pencils just really made me excited as a kid. But who doesn't love Christmas? And I remember December being so fun because we'd always have those classroom holiday parties. You'd be doing fun arts and crafts the whole month leading up to Christmas break. We'd get those special treats at school. Sometimes we'd even get a movie. Remember when they would wheel in a television that was like bungee corded to like a cart?
Yes.
Kids today, they have no idea what we went through. Oh my gosh. One of the other things I remember about the holiday season is just circling catalogs with reckless abandon. Like the budget did not exist. I had a gel pen and a dream, and I would spend all December long repenting for being such a little shit to my parents. So I was like, please, Santa, only pay attention to this 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yes.
When I'm really sucking up. So, Mary, I'm dying to know, what are your memories from this time? Did you have a go-to catalog that you loved around the holidays?
I feel like I did. I just can't remember exactly what it was. It was a toy magazine or catalog, and I definitely was using pens to circle all of my favorites. And I actually think a few of them had like stickers to put by your favorite things too. Like,
Smart.
Obsessed. They made it so easy to make it very clear to the parents and Santa alike what we wanted.
Mostly Santa, right? You guys know that we love nothing more than reaching deep into our memories and finding nostalgic things to talk about from our childhood. So we thought, why not talk about those things that would make or break our Christmas morning as children? You know, the number one items on our Christmas list, the toys that made the holiday season so magical. So today we are going to talk about the top toys from our 90s and early 2000s wish list. We got Beanie Babies, we got Furby, we got Tamagotchi, and we got Razor scooters. But let's start with the creme de la creme, the big kahuna, Beanie Babies. I would go so far as to declare the Beanie Baby as the defining toy of the 1990s, more than Tamagotchi. And when I say the words Beanie Baby, Mary, I have to know, like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Being absolutely certain that it was guaranteed that having a Princess Diana Beanie Baby would pay for my college and mortgage in the future. What about you?
I just remember I loved how they sounded. They were filled with that like PVC pellet, and I loved feeling the weight move around it. My favorite was Flutter, the butterfly. She was like a tie-dye butterfly.
Yes.
I was obsessed with butterflies as a child, so she was just like my everything. This was around the time Toy Story came out. I was convinced my Beanie Babies came alive at night. I would like pretend to sleep and like open my eyes really fast and try to catch them like moving around my room. So that's where I was at.
Furby. That was me with my Furby.
That's a more like realistic fear, I feel like, than the
Yes.
Beanie Babies. I just wanted to be their friends. Like I wanted them to know I was cool. And like if you guys are talking, like you can include me, you know?
Yes.
I also had them in like a hammock in my room. I would try to rotate them and spend equal time with each one. I didn't want one to suffocate or like be mad at me that I wasn't paying attention to it as much. I feel like this is really where my anxiety was born as a child. But anyways, you were so right, Mary, that we were brought up believing that these little squishy stuffed toys were going to pay for our college. You want to go to law school? Don't worry. You have the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. What are you talking about? You have an original Platy the Platypus. You're fine.
Loved Platy.
I thought I was going to have multiple homes because of my Beanie Baby collection one day. If anyone here needs a reminder, let us remind you, Beanie Babies were obviously these adorable little animals, and some were named after pop culture moments like the Princess Diana bear. And I just have such a hard time thinking of any other toy, with the exception of Pokemon cards or baseball cards or like trading cards, that little kids wanted to cover in plastic because we knew it was an inherent piece of being a Beanie Baby collector that you keep your Beanie Baby in good condition. We purchased tag protectors, that little heart-shaped TY tag. It was important that you kept that in mint condition to secure your financial future.
I had cases, not only tag protectors, I had cases.
Oh my God, you had cases for your Beanie. So you didn't sleep with yours in a hammock?
Certain ones were snuggle Beanie Babies and other ones were securing my financial future.
Like we had to compartmentalize. Like we are children of the 90s. Like we were taught fiscal responsibility from a young age, and that meant not playing with your toys. Some of them also came with cards. Do you remember the trading cards that they came with?
No.
I thought that was like kind of an obvious try to get into like the Pokemon craze at the time, but some of them came with cards and it would tell you about them, like each one. So let's talk about the history of the Beanie Baby. These guys first appeared in 1993 at the World Toy Fair in New York City. And it wasn't long before they came hotter than crypto.
Let's get into the background. Behind it all was H. Ty Warner. And after getting fired from a toy company in 1980, good old Ty, he took a 3-year sabbatical to Italy where he saw understuffed plush cats. And he had an epiphany. He mortgaged his home, invested everything, and founded Ty Inc. in 1986. By the way, this man, Ty, he's notoriously private. Collectors called him the Wizard of Oz because he rarely grants interviews. Meanwhile, manufacturing of the Beanie Babies began in 1994. They sold for just $5 each, only in Chicago stores. Now, here's what made his strategy genius. Ty refused to sell to big retailers like Toys R Us. He only sold to small shops.
Honestly, I feel like it kind of cooked with that. Like, slay, shop small. I love that.
Ty was ahead of his time. But what's even more, each small shop could only order 36 of each character per month, deliberately below the demand. And Ty would also randomly retire Beanie Babies with no warning, creating constant FOMO and like very intense eBay bidding wars, if you were. Did we even have eBay? Well, let's answer that question here.
We did.
Cue the internet. In 1995, Ty also created the first business-to-consumer website when only 1.4 of Americans were online. Beanie Babies are cited as the world's first internet sensation. So he's selling to these small shops. He's created this website. Sales exploded. $25 million in sales in 1995, $1 billion by 1998, and $700 million in profits in 1999 alone. Ty's net worth hit $2.5 billion, if you can believe that. And that's not all. In 1997, the big guns came in. McDonald's ordered 100 million teeny Beanie Babies for Happy Meals. Of course, they sold out immediately. People mobbed the restaurants. There was pure chaos.
Do you remember those minis?
Of course.
I remember being like disappointed by them because they weren't.
Yes, agreed.
They were too light, too teeny. I wanted the real thing, but I also wanted to collect them all. So the craziest thing about the Beanie Baby saga is that they truly were considered a financial asset. So divorced couples would fight over their Beanie Baby assets. There's one pertinent example that happened in 1999. Frances and Harold Mountain stood in a Las Vegas courtroom 4 months after their divorce because they were at an impasse. They could not figure out how to split up their Beanie Baby collection, which was valued between $2,500 and $5,000 at the time. So this judge, his name is Gerald Hardcastle. I love his name, Gerald. What a king. He was so pissed at Frances and Harold for not being able to just like figure this out amongst themselves that he ordered them to spread their entire collection on the courtroom floor and divide them one by one under his supervision. And he also invited reporters to document it because he realized how fucking crazy this was. You thought our boy band draft episode was intense? This was a Beanie Baby draft. Like, imagine thinking that you were parting with the toy, the one that you weren't sure that might turn you into a gazillionaire one day because they were so limited. Wow. The pressure. Do you want to know which Beanie Baby went first? Who the first draft pick was?
Who?
Maple the Bear.
Oh.
Do you know how much Maple the Bear is worth now?
No.
$7.89 on Amazon. They paid their lawyers way more for this day in court than they ever got from cashing in on their Beanie Baby collection. In fact, their whole collection that they fought over is probably worth anywhere from $100 to $200 now. How embarrassing. But also, I feel like in the moment, I would have done the same thing. Like, I remember waiting in line for hours because I was like fighting like grown adults because I really wanted the pug. Because like we were a pug family. How could you not have a pug? And like, according to some sources, some families sank their entire life savings into acquiring the most rare Beanie Babies, genuinely hoping to put their kids through college. And when the Beanie Baby bubble ultimately burst, which is just a funny sentence, their toys, their collection were rendered virtually worthless. But what's crazy, before this bubble burst, the toys were also not just the subject of highly contested divorces, but also theft. There were these really valuable Beanie Babies that were found on the scenes of organized crime busts. Another example from March 1999, there was a burglar who was called the Beanie Baby Bandit, and he stole 200 Beanie Babies from a stationery shop in Centerport, New York. Again, these toys only cost $5 a piece, but they sold online for much more when they were perceived as rare, or maybe they were discontinued with no notice. So Beanie Baby fraud flourished during the early days of eBay, and people would sell these really horribly made dupes. People just no bottom. So because of this, TY went really hard. Also, is it Ty, not TY? Like, I thought the company was TY.
Oh.
But knowing his name is Ty, I'm like, was it Ty all along?
I don't know.
I'm going to call him TY, the company, Ty the man, TY the company. Because of this, TY went really hard after all of the counterfeits, and they got in some legal trouble for trying to corner the market. But let's talk about the Beanie Baby bubble bursting, because that's a really fun thing to say.
Oh, it is a fun little phrase. So TY, the company, announced they'd stop production in December 1999. And while production resumed in 2000, the bubble had burst. Overproduction basically made it so that Beanie Babies were suddenly worthless. Now, Ty had used his billions to live a pretty extravagant life up to this point. He had bought multiple luxury hotels, including the Four Seasons Hotel New York. And as of 2025, his net worth is $7.3 billion still. He's donated over $300 million worth of toys to charities. So he's a philanthropic king, but he's not perfect. There is a dark side. In 2014, Ty was convicted of tax evasion and paid a $53 million fine. Uh-oh. But in 2023, I did not know this, Apple TV released The Beanie Bubble with Zach Galifianakis playing Ty. And this is something we're going to have to watch, Kelsey. It kind of explores Ty's complicated relationships with women who helped him build this empire. It's so interesting. There was a woman, Lena Trivedi. She's the one who wrote the poem on all of the Beanie Baby tags. And then also,
I forgot about the poems.
They all had a little couple line poem on the tags. And then Patricia Roche, who I guess is the inspiration of Patty the Platypus. Anyways, obviously, as you said now, most Beanie Babies are not worth much today, between 50 cents to $10 approximately. But some rare ones still command some money and attention. Apparently, Peanut the Royal Blue Elephant sold for over $3,000 at auction. I don't know what year that was, but I'm assuming it's more recent than the 90s and early 2000s. And also Princess Diana was once listed for $25,000 on auction, but today it sells for about $15 to $30. The lesson, everybody, do not invest your retirement in collectibles.
This is bananas. Every time I think about Beanie Babies, I'm like, did we all just dream that up? Like, who told us that they were going to be so expensive? Like, who spread the rumor? Every time I think about it, I'm like, this is so funny. Okay, I just Googled some of the poems because how nostalgic. Can I read you the Batty the Bat poem?
Please.
Bats may make some people jitter. Please don't be afraid of this critter. If you're lonely or have nothing to do, this Beanie Baby would love to hug you.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's cute. What about Blackie the Bear? Okay, this one is living in a national park. He only played after dark. Then he met his friend Cubby. Now they play when it's sunny. I don't know if I love that one.
That's not the best one.
What kind did you have, Mary? What one sticks out to you?
I remember the otter.
Oh my God, I got it. Seaweed the otter. And he was holding a little piece of seaweed. Yes. And it's a she. Oh my God, love this queen. Okay, this is Seaweed the otter's poem. Seaweed is what she likes to eat. It's supposed to be a delectable treat. Have you tried the treat from the water? If you haven't, maybe you otter? Oh, maybe you oughta. Wow.
Cute.
That is adorable, but that was kind of a bad otter pun, but whatever, I love it. So here's a little pop culture trivia. If you are listening to this, I challenge you to try to name out the first original 9 Beanie Babies. We already mentioned one of them, and it was Cubby the Bear. Cubby the Bear was the first one.
We also mentioned Patty.
Patty the Platypus, she was another one. Freaking queen. I had her. Pinchers the lobster. As a New Englander, if you didn't have a lobster, it's like, what was wrong with you? You needed Pinchers. Chocolate the moose. What a cute name. I love that name. Flash the dolphin. Love. Splash the orca. If you've ever had a more than 5-minute conversation with me, you know orcas are my soul animal. Legs the frog. I also had him. Spot the dog and Squealer the pig. Those are the original 9 Beanie Babies that spurred all of these hopes and dreams and came swiftly crashing down. So if you guys have your Beanie Babies still, please DM us. If you have photos of them, like I don't care how raggedy they are, we want to see your Beanie Babies. So DM us at When They Popped Pod. And if you still have your TY tag attached, like extra points for you for being a type A queen.
Yes.
Should we move on to the 1999 toy of the year?
Please.
We're going to talk about Furbies. Furbies were eclipsed only by Pokemon in the year 1999. Mary, what are your memories with your Furby?
I remember a specific phrase it would say. It would say, Todlu ta. Ah. I heard it so many freaking times, I could remember the phrase.
You sound like E.T.
It sounded like E.T. I don't remember much, like, from my youth, but I remember genuinely, like, contemplating trying to suffocate it, like, getting it to shut. It was in my closet under so many things, and I could still hear it in the middle of the night, like, because it was, like, hungry. Crazy. What about you?
I don't remember my own, but I know I had one because there's no way that my parents would have just gotten my sister one and not me because I would have, like, literally freaked out. But I remember my sister one night, she had hers in her closet too. Mine wasn't very talkative, but my sister's was. And I remember her just screaming one night. And I like ran into her room. I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she was like, my Furby won't stop talking. And I was like, I thought there was an emergency, not just your Furby having a party. She was so mad at her Furby. And I remember we tried to take the batteries out. Like we tried to you could take like the fur off of it. Oh my God. Yeah, we tried to murder our Furby.
Same. Let's talk about these little critters. Picture this. It's October 1998. You walk into FAO Schwartz in New York City, and there's a white stretch limousine outside. 6 children emerge carrying these weird furry creatures on purple velvet pillows like they're carrying the crown jewels. A giant Furby mascot walks through the door holding a ceremonial key, and the Today Show is there broadcasting the whole thing. That's how Furby made its grand entrance into the world on October 2nd, 1998, and nothing has ever been quite the same since, let's be real. Furby was created by 3 inventors. Dave Hampton, he was an electronics genius who'd been fixing radios since childhood. Caleb Chung, he wanted to create a toy that would be a child's first friend. And Richard Levy, he was a marketing wizard who knew how to sell it. Perfect formula, right? So Dave Hampton and Caleb Chung spent 18 months designing and creating Furby. After 2 failed licensing attempts, Richard Levy brought it to Tiger Electronics, whose president at the time bought the rights immediately. And then, when Hasbro Toys acquired Tiger Electronics in early 1998, Furby suddenly had massive resources behind it. So that FAO Schwartz event that I mentioned in October 98, after that, 35,000 Furbies were back-ordered by the end of the week. Now, originally they were priced at $35, but the demand was so insane that resale prices hit over $300. Parents were literally getting into fistfights at Toys R Us over this toy.
$35 back then. What is that, like $50 now? That's kind of
Probably.
expensive.
Yeah. But this was like an electronic toy. You know, the Beanie Babies,
Right.
they were like
The
deflated.
future.
This was like little robots. So let's talk about the sales. By late 1998, they had sold over 1.8 million. They hit 14 million by 1999 and then hit over 40 million in sales in the first 3 years. It was crazy. By then, they had translated Furby into 24 languages so he could be understood and used in 14 countries. And so let's talk about what made Furby so special. Furby was this weird owl hamster hybrid. He had massive eyes, floppy ears, a beak, and he was covered in faux fur. But the magic was what it could do. And that came down to the tech behind it. Furby was equipped with touch sensors, tilt sensors, light sensors, and sound sensors. There was an infrared port between the eyes that actually let the Furbies talk and interact with one another. It had motors that made it blink. It moved its ears. It danced. Crazy.
I just remembered that I was a slutty Furby one year for Halloween in college.
God, that's so funny.
I'm like dying. I totally forgot about that. Wow. Memories. Okay, anyways, let's talk about how Furbies could freaking talk. They spoke this language called Furbish, and this was a made-up language comprised of 42 words. Over time, it would speak less Furbish and more English. So if you would talk to your Furby, it would unlock, I guess that was the model, more English words. But kids were convinced that their Furby was learning from them, not that it was pre-programmed. But obviously, it wasn't learning anything. This was no Chat GPT in 1999. Furby had 200 pre-programmed English words that would just unlock over time based on usage. But it was so convincing when kids would talk to their Furby and it only had these 42 Furbish words. What was your refrain, Mary?
Toadloo ta.
Yeah. And then suddenly that becomes hello. And you're like, whoa, like he's learning from me. Was yours a he or a she?
I don't remember.
I feel like Furbies are just boys.
Yeah, I get boy vibes.
Mine was definitely boy vibes. It was like gray spotted.
Mine was gray too.
Oh my God. Did it have black polka dots, like spots?
I think mine had like a white mohawk.
So did mine. Did we have the same fucking Furby?
Maybe, but mine didn't have black spots.
They were siblings. They were definitely brothers.
Yeah, they were related.
They were fraternal twins, and I will not accept any other rationale. So anyways, everyone's thinking that their Furbies are freaking learning from them. And it just sparked this like mass hysteria that there was a spy scandal. So this is picking up so much steam that in January of 1999, the Washington Post broke this story that the NSA had banned Furbies from their headquarters because they feared that employees might be discussing classified information around their Furbies, which they would then record and repeat it later. The Pentagon banned them. The FAA said Furbies shouldn't be allowed on planes when they're below 10,000 feet. Like, they're like your phone. You got to turn it off. Your personal electronic device. And this became such a huge thing that the Tiger Electronics CEO at the time had to release a statement that Furby, it had no ability to do any recording whatsoever. The people at Tiger Electronics went so far as to demonstrate that Furby's microphone couldn't even record anything. It could only detect a single beep, but no actual words. But by this time, the reputation was damaged. The trust had been broken, and these spy rumors spread globally. There was even a rumor that Furby could launch a space shuttle. And this all came from someone making a joke to somebody at CBS that people just took very seriously. So like the Furby hysteria was real. Apparently, one woman in Maryland called the bomb squad about a mysterious beeping package on her porch, and it was just a Furby that someone had mailed to her, a talkative Furby. My take on all of this is that Furby was just ahead of its time. We weren't ready for the Furb. Now we are ready and we want to interact with tech and we want it to learn from us, aka LLMs, ChatGPT, Alexa, Siri, all the things. So Furby was just first. You know, someone always has to be first.
They were first and they took pop culture by storm and they appeared on The Simpsons, Friends, South Parks, and it just even recently in movies like Uncut Gems, there was like a diamond encrusted Furby in that. And in 1999, artist Sydney Mobile created a bejeweled Furby with diamonds and sapphires, and it sold at FAO Schwartz for $100,000. Only 5 were made. And I have to be honest, Furbies were always a little unsettling. They had those unblinking eyes, had those random wake-ups at night, even when the batteries were out, and no off button. They say you had to remove the batteries to shut them up, but I swear that didn't even work half the time. But the internet kind of embraced this unsettling, creepiness, and urban legends, creepypasta. They all had stories about haunted Furbies. And then in September 2018, there was a Tumblr user, Furby Fuzz, that posted images of Long Furby, a Furby with an elongated snake-like body made by stitching multiple Furby bodies together. And with that, the internet exploded. Hashtag Long Furby has 680 million TikTok views. The Long Furby subreddit has 40,000 plus members. And this is something I honestly hadn't seen until now, but I looked it up and they certainly exist.
They sell them now.
I know. It's crazy. People make Long Furbies. They go from 2 to 12 feet long. Some are cute and rainbow colored. Others are deliberately horrifying. And there's even skimbies made with silicone that looked skinned. That's crazy.
That is a hard pass. I
But
literally hate that.
We're not interested in that at all. Even recently, MoMA's 2023 exhibit featured Long Furbies as art. Art therapists say making them reduces anxiety. What started as a joke became a legitimate art movement with conventions, Discord servers, and Etsy shops full of custom parts. Furby was this perfect storm of innovation, marketing genius, public hysteria, and genuine weirdness that could really only happen in the late 90s. It promised to be your electric buddy who would learn to talk to you. And even though it was technically smoke and mirrors, it felt very real. So the next time you see a cursed Long Furby on TikTok or your old Furby wakes up after 20 years, just remember, it's not spying on you. Probably.
Unsettling. Well, do you know something else that would wake me up in the middle of the night that was supposed to be fun and ended up being work? Tamagotchi. Let's talk about freaking Tamagotchis.
Yes.
Before Furby in 1997, there was Tamagotchi, those tiny little egg-shaped keychains that literally turned us all into sleep-deprived pet parents. Remember that episode of Rugrats when Tommy's mom is pregnant with Dill and his dad is so tired, he's making pudding and doing things for her and he's just sleepwalking through the day? That was us as Tamagotchi parents back in 1997. So I have a question for you, Mary. I'm curious if you will know this off the top of your head. What is the average lifespan of a well-cared-for Tamagotchi?
30 years. 30
Wait,
years.
no, for real. For real.
20 years? 10 years?
12 days.
Oh, really?
This is a well-cared-for Tamagotchi. So something that someone's checking in on and paying attention to. That's a short lifespan, right? So we went through as little children the excitement of getting a pet, caring for it 24/7, being stressed out, and then having it die within a 2-week span.
Oh my
We'll
God,
come back to that. It felt like years. That's why they say, what do they say? The days are slow, but the years go fast. We're not parents ourselves, but we were at one time when we had Tamagotchi.
A Tamagotchi made me, what's that sound? I'm a mom. I'm a mommy.
I'm a mommy.
Mommy?
I'm a mom.
Mamacita.
No, I'm a mommy.
Oh my God, Love Island. I love Love Island. Okay, so let's talk about the Tamagotchi. They were first released in Japan in November of 1996, and then they came over to the US in May of 1997. And Tamagotchi was created by Akira Yokoi and Aki Maita for Bandai. And Bandai is the name of the company that produced Tamagotchi. And the name literally means egg watch in Japanese. I never put it together that it was an egg.
Me neither. Who knew?
Not me. So here's the concept of the Tamagotchi in case you forgot or you were sleeping under a rock. This was a digital pet that you had to feed, you had to play with, you had to clean up after it, or it would die. But the whole catch was there was no pause button. You couldn't be like, sorry, I'm going to school now. Your Tamagotchi did not care. And it aged in real time. So it would beep whenever it would need attention, whether it was day or night. I remember I put my little keychain on my bedpost so I could hear it beep at night and take care of it. So this is literally, I found a screenshot of the original packaging from the 90s. And this is what it says on the back of the box. Tamagotchi is a tiny pet from cyberspace who needs your love to survive and grow. If you take good care of your Tamagotchi pet, it will slowly grow bigger, healthier, and more beautiful every day. But if you neglect your little cyber creature, your Tamagotchi may grow up to be mean or ugly. How old will your Tamagotchi be when it returns to its home planet? What kind of virtual caretaker will you be? What?
The pressure is on.
The freaking pressure. So they're like an alien egg that you would then take and nurture and hope that it's nice and not ugly and mean.
Oh my God, that's so funny. The origin story of this is actually really cute. One of the creators of Tamagotchi that Kelsey mentioned earlier, Akira Yokoi, was inspired by an ad in which he saw that a boy wasn't allowed to bring his pet turtle on vacation. Ashiro owned multiple pets himself. He had a dog, cats, parrots. He was a pet owner, and he really identified and felt bad for this boy who was not able to bring his pet turtle on vacation. So Akira was like, well, if it's not always possible to take your living pets with you on vacation, why not bring a virtual one? So like a little proxy, I guess, if you will. And thus the idea of the Tamagotchi was born. But full disclosure with this story, some Redditors are skeptical if this is truly the origin story. One poster said they've never been able to find confirmation about this. So who really knows? It's kind of a mystery, but I thought that was a cute story. So when Tamagotchis launched, the manufacturer, Bandai, sold 5 million units in Japan, and Japanese shoppers began camping outside toy stores to get this product. And in March 1997, Bandai announced that it would gift a Tamagotchi to anyone who owned 1,000 shares of its stock. And the price leapt by 60 yen the next day. Crazy. So when Tamagotchi finally made its way and first launched over in the United States, Wired magazine dismissed the toy, claiming it borrowed all the gimmickries of 1970s pet rock kitsch and gave it a digital facelift. Side note, I also had a pet rock.
Same, I made it at camp.
There was one that was bought for me, and it came with like a cage and food and everything.
What was the food?
Like hay.
We made our own pet rocks at camp. Mine had like googly eyes and you could
cute.
Paint it.
Mine was named Speckles. It had really cute a pattern on it.
You had a designer pet rock. I had a DIY pet rock.
So basically they thought that the Tamagotchis were just trying to be like a technological advanced kind of dupe of the pet rock. But surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. In the United States, Tamagotchis were an instant hit. On the first day of sales, May 1st, 1997, San Francisco's FAO Schwartz sold out its entire stock of 3,000 Tamagotchis by 3 p.m. And by noon the next day, their New York flagship had sold out of its inventory of 10,000 Tamagotchis too. The craze was massive. There was over 10 million units sold in the first 7 months. Stores sold out in hours, and scammers preyed on shoppers' desperation, charging marked up prices. And honestly, a major element of the popularity of this toy was its pricing. $15 to $17 typically, really not bad. That coupled with Tamagotchi's simple technology, a black and white LCD screen, a tiny battery, and a few buttons. This was truly designed for mass production and laid the groundwork for what would become the golden age of virtual pets. The problem, there was obviously a huge problem. Schools started banning them because the constant beeping was so disruptive in classes. Kids couldn't leave them at home because they'd die. So parents became unwilling grandparents or babysitters carrying Tamagotchis to work. Some kids even held funerals for their dead digital pets. This was chaos, okay?
We were stressed, and for good reason. The Smithsonian Magazine said that proper parenting would result in a well-mannered adult Tamagotchi, while inattention would result in a delinquent. Nobody wanted a delinquent. There was a trick that someone at school taught me where you'd stick a pencil in the reset button, trying to
Yeah.
like get it back to its like factory settings and you could kind of like start over if you started being really bratty. I did that so much. I just remember in my mind, when I think of my Tamagotchi, it has like graphite all over the reset button.
Yes, I remember that button too. And so within weeks of their release in the United States, this was enough time for plenty of these virtual pets to die. Parents started to get concerned and a bit disturbed by their children's hysterical reactions to their virtual pets dying. Andrew Cohen, a psychologist at Dalton School in Manhattan, told the New York Times in '97 that, quote, the toy creates a real sense of loss and a mourning process. Kids want to nurture and take care of pets. It gives them a feeling of empowerment and self-importance. But here, the consequences are too high. It's out of control. End quote.
Imagine having to go to like the school counselor because your Tamagotchi died.
Well, that's what was happening. It was seriously like impacting everybody's mental health. But besides that, Tamagotchi had a huge impact in that they pioneered the entire virtual pet game. They spawned Digimon, which Bandai also created as like the boy version of Tamagotchis, Neopets, Nintendogs, and countless mobile pet apps. And unlike Beanie Babies and Furby, Tamagotchis never really died. It just evolved. Modern versions have color screens and app connectivity. And 40% of buyers today are adults aged 20 to 35, buying them for nostalgia. So at $15 to $25, these little egg-shaped keychains were affordable chaos. The toy that taught 90s kids digital responsibility is still making people anxious 3 decades later.
I don't think I could go back to a Tamagotchi.
I don't know. The pressure.
Did you ever get really upset over yours? I just kind of got annoyed with it and let it go.
I think that was similar for me.
I also had like a real dog. So I was like...
See, I didn't really have pets because my mom claimed to be allergic, which turns out she wasn't. But or she is, just not allergic to Otis.
She's not allergic enough.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, wow. That was like a real thing. I'm pretty sure they weren't allowed. Like you could bring them to school, but you weren't allowed to take it like out of your backpack or something. There had to be like a policy that was passed. So we would stop playing with them. Let's move on to our final toy of the day. I couldn't not include this one because the year 2000 was defined by the Razor scooter. Or should I say, the Razor scooter defined the year 2000. This was the #1 holiday gift of the new millennium. We went from Furby in 99 to Razor scooters. How futuristic were we? Mary, I'm certain that you had a Razor scooter, but what color did you have?
I had a silver one, but were there like better colors?
There was green, there was blue, like the wheels were colored and the handlebars, the foam on it would be colored and the Razor branding would, like the sticker, the like sandpapery.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I had red maybe. I'm picturing red.
Ooh.
What about you?
I did not have a real Razor scooter. This is kind of drama now that I'm thinking about it. So, Mom, I know you're listening. I haven't forgotten. She got me and my sister off-brand. We had JD Bugs. But guess who did have a Razor brand Razor scooter? Our brother.
Oh.
But it's fine. He deserved it. We did it. But ours were actually better than Razor scooters because ours could take speed bumps better. And the community that we lived in, there were a lot of speed bumps. So we were actually set up for success, which was great. So thanks, Mom. But mine was black and my sister's was red and our little brother's was blue. Man, that scooter, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Jumping off it and just letting it fly and like hit the garbage can. Wow. I'll never forget it. So let's talk about how Razor scooter truly like revolutionized the way that a lot of people get around. It was invented through a beautiful collaboration across multiple continents and countries. And here are our key players of the Razor story. We're going to start with Wim Uboter. And I really hope, Wim, that I am pronouncing your name correctly. And Wim worked at Micro Mobility Systems. And in 1996, he created the original micro scooter concept in Switzerland. He was looking for an urban mobility solution that could be folded up. You wouldn't have to worry about it like the big clunky scooters bikes of the time. Our next player, Gino Tsai of JD Corporation. This was a Taiwan-based manufacturer. So I read that Gino, who was 44 at the time of his invention, and again, I don't know if this is real or not. I found this on the internet, but apparently Gino had a real problem. He had legs that were on the shorter side. So he walked a little slower than he maybe would have liked to. And he was trying to find a swifter way to get around his large bicycle factory in Taiwan. They say necessity breeds invention. So in 1998, Gino developed a lightweight aluminum frame prototype of this foldable scooter concept at his company's factory in Taiwan. And his contribution was he added aircraft-grade aluminum construction. Our little scooters were tested to support a 1,100-pound load without bending. I mean, it's aircraft quality. And he also used these polyurethane wheels to create this lightweight foldable scooter. They weighed only 6.6 pounds. That feels kind of heavy to me now, but I feel like at the time, you're like, wow, this is revolutionary. So Gino is a huge player there. Obviously, we got to give Wim his flowers for coming up with this foldable scooter, but it was really Gino who created the Razor scooter as we would recognize it today. So in July of 1998, Gino displayed this prototype at the World Sports Expo in Chicago, and he secured his first order of 4,000 units from Sharper Image. Do you remember going through that catalog?
On the airplanes, I feel like.
And it had like all these weird tech things, like foot massagers. Weren't there Sharper Image stores that you could go in and like sit on their chair massagers?
Yeah, for sure.
I remember being like, wow, when I'm an adult, all my couches are going to be massagers.
From Sharper Image.
From Sharper Image. They're a very reasonable $7,000 each.
Yeah.
God, I love Sharper Image. So in 1999, things are taking off. He's selling through Sharper Image, and sales really take off in Japan through micro-mobility systems. And the concept of this lightweight aluminum kick scooter, that's what they call it, a kick scooter. Did you know it was called that? A kick scooter? I just always called it a Razor scooter. It's like a Ziploc bag, a jacuzzi. I just associate a kick scooter with Razor so deeply. Anyways, they're picking up steam in Tokyo as a really easy way to get around the city. Everything cool starts in Japan. We know this. We've learned this. You know who loved Backstreet Boys first? Japan. So Japan gets it. Razor scooters are taking off there. But they weren't really called Razor scooters yet. So how did Razor make it to America? Enter Carlton Calvin. He was this toy creator entrepreneur who would go on to become co-founder of Razor USA with our man Gino from JD Corporation. So Calvin apparently read an LA Times article that proclaimed that these Razor scooters were the hot new thing in Tokyo. Again, they weren't called Razor yet. But in 1999, he called up that Taiwan-based company, aka JD Corporation, with our boy Gino with the short legs, allegedly, with an idea to produce these miniature versions, a finger scooter of sorts. And Calvin says, it quickly became apparent to me that the bigger ones were a much bigger deal. What would you do with a finger scooter, Calvin?
Nothing.
Or Carlton, Calvin, two first names. I don't know what to call you, Carlton. So in 2000, Razor USA was born in California. So they started with this super tiny warehouse in Cerritos. They had only 30 to 40 employees, but Razor was pushing out nearly 1 million scooters a month. Razor sold over 5 million units in 6 months, and they quickly became the toy of the year. Cracked.com had a really funny quote about it, and I feel like this just encapsulated what the Razor scooters were to us. Quote, the scooters themselves started to evolve and see additions and special models. A model with a wheelie bar was added for an easy way for aspiring tricksters to smash their head against the pavement and send their scooter rocketing into a parked car in one smooth motion. Some models included a spark bar on the brake to appeal to the pyromaniac heart that beats inside every 14-year-old boy. There even emerged a passionate group of kids developing and performing Razor tricks. Odds are you remember the kid at your school who could do a tail whip on a Razor scooter almost as distinctly as you remember the sharp, horizontal, crunching pain of a Razor footbed slamming into the front of your shin when you attempted one yourself.
Or your ankle.
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember trying to jump over it like a hopscotch thing, or like, what was that ankle thing that you would like jump over?
I know what you're
with the
talking
ball
about.
at the end?
I don't know.
Ugh, the pain. The pain. Okay, so then what? They're going bananas, apeshit in 1999. Well, 2001 came, and apparently our collective desire for scooters just disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. So Carlton Calvin told the LA Times, and this was kind of like a recent interview, actually, which I thought was kind of funny, that in the latter half of 2000, Razor sold more than 500,000 scooters. But in January 2001, Carlton said that he could not sell a single one. That's how crazy this fad just fell off a cliff. So once the craze died down, every retailer besides, sadly now defunct, Toys R Us, dropped Razor from its shelves. And Carlton focused on cornering the shrinking market. So what is he going to do? His big moneymaker is now no longer popular. They're going to go after all the copycats. So they held the patents for this scooter technology, and they began suing all of the copycat competitors. I don't know if the one that I had lost a lawsuit.
Maybe.
But they filed 20 lawsuits and they won 20 lawsuits. I mean, they were ironclad.
Wow.
In your legal opinion, Mary, is that a really good track record?
Yes.
100% not bad.
Yes.
As women in STEM, we would say 100% is the best you could possibly do. And the court decisions really sort of served two purposes, right? One, they ensured that Razor became synonymous with these types of scooters, but also, and maybe arguably even more important or equally important, they provided this cash infusion that allowed them to invest and create new products. So since then, Razor has sold 34 million scooters, and that includes 13 million e-scooters. And they continue to release new products. Remember Ripsticks?
Yes.
Razor's behind the Ripsticks. I didn't even know that.
Oh.
They make dirt bikes, go-karts, wheels that strap onto shoes, hoverboards.
Wow.
They're still out there creating. And thank you, Razor. I mean, you hurt our shins and our ankles, but we forgive you because there was nothing more fun than scootering around as a kid.
And just a status symbol. You had to have one.
I remember I would go barefoot to the beach on my scooter. And when it was a really hot day, the back brake would get hot when you would brake if you were going too fast.
On your heel or whatever.
Yeah.
Your toe, whatever you
the
use.
Friction.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
There was a kid in our community who had the sparking thing too. And I remember it would give me a panic attack. I'd be like, oh my God, your scooter's on fire.
Well, this was such an incredible reminder, such a nostalgic reminder of all the great gifts of Christmas past. I wish we were asking for things like this still, but alas.
What are you asking for this year, Mary? I asked for a steam back.
I would like a new sofa this year.
Ooh,
Yes.
a couch is a good one.
Yes. So we will see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Fingers crossed for Mary's couch. And you know what a really good gift is for our listeners? A subscription to our Patreon. You can gift that to someone this holiday season if you have a nostalgia junkie in your life who wants to be brought back to simpler times. How's that for a plug?
I love it. So good.
Well, here's another one. If you're not already, make sure you're following us at When They Popped Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And please leave us a review and we will read it on our next episode. So I hope you all had an incredible Thanksgiving. I hope you're doing some shopping, getting your Christmas list ticked off. Let's hope that Mary's husband is not purchasing a couch without her consent, but planning a shopping trip together.
And Kelsey gets that steam bath.
Steam vac. It's a steam vacuum. A steam bath?
Like a sauna, maybe? I thought you wanted a sauna.
Oh my God.
Okay.
In my Boston dwelling.
I didn't think it out. Okay.
No, in fact, it's way less exciting. It is a vacuum that steams.
Well, that's practical. I like that. Okay.
We'll see. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.